Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am super excited. And of course, I did forget exactly what here we go. I got it. Today, I got it. I got it. We are now officially live on Facebook and YouTube. And this gorgeous woman that's with me right now is the amazing Mary Jo Rennert. And her topic today is everybody's got a hungry heart. And I got to tell you, if anyone knows about hearts, it is she. She brings me smiles every time I'm with her. You do. I'm always happy
You are sweet.
when I'm with you. See that she tells me I'm sweet. It's wonderful. So anyway, she's an author, she's a speaker, she's a coach, and she's a powerful witness to a beautiful way to true happiness. Her books, her talks, her signature coaching program, and her retreats all lead towards that destination. Now, Mary Jo divorced after 44 years of marriage. She now makes it her mission to help other women heal their own journeys. She now makes it her mission in her book, which is called You Are Still Beloved When Your Long-Term Marriage Ends in Divorce. Based on her own experience, it's a valuable resource, by the way, for anyone trying to navigate the dark night of divorce. That's a good way to put it, the dark night of divorce. Yeah. The good news is there's always a morning. There's always a morning. Mary Jo is
right.
She is passionate. I'm still working here. Mary Jo is passionate about the divorce ministry and views it as a huge need throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a wild and enthusiastic, I can't even say it because I'm so excited, World Love Week welcome to, say that 3 times fast, to my dear friend, Mary Jo. Woohoo!
Well, this is World Love Week, starting with Valentine's Day. And I don't want to take anything away from that. The world definitely needs love. But if you're one of the many people who've experienced divorce, wouldn't it be great if you could hear a message of love meant just for you? Wouldn't it be awesome to hear someone tell you how much you're loved and cherished? Wouldn't it be wonderful to receive that kind of love and affirmation every day? Would that feed your heart? If so, this message is for you. You know, Bruce Springsteen sang, "Everybody's got a hungry heart," and he was right. But he wasn't the first person to know that. Way back around the year 400, St. Augustine said, "The deepest desire of the human heart is to be seen and to see other people in the same way." Now think about that for a moment. Imagine if you could really be seen and loved for who you are, not what you do or what you have or how you look. Imagine if you could see other people and love them for who they are. Those are kind of scary thoughts, aren't they? After all, you might be thinking, if people knew the real me, they wouldn't like me. Or if they could see who I really am, they couldn't love me. My name is Mary Jo Rennert, and I believe you're one of a kind, created by a God who loves you beyond measure, regardless of what you've done or failed to do. A God who truly sees you and knows you inside and out. I believe you're meant to shine as a unique expression of God's love in the world. And I also believe there are no coincidences. If you're listening right now, you're meant to hear this message. Why am I so passionate about this? Because losing the marriage relationship that defined me for 44 years made me dig deep to discover who I really am. My mission is to help you understand your true value as the unique gift you are, so you can fill your hungry heart with what really satisfies, especially if you've been wounded by divorce. That's why I write and speak and coach others who've experienced grief and loss. And let's face it, we're all grievers. Before I get started, I want to thank Ken Krell, the founder of World Love Week, for validating my mission. Some time back, I attended a 5-day challenge Ken hosted, and I learned so much from him. I almost skipped the 5th day just because I felt so filled up. But I'm really glad that I finished it. After the event, he spoke to me personally and gave me the courage I needed to step out and live my mission. I also want to thank you for being here. I'm sure you could be doing something else, but you've taken the time and chosen to listen. If you've been through a divorce or any other type of loss, I want you to know I think you're very brave, and I applaud you for taking part in this. What I'm going to share with you today will help you know you can survive tragedy, reclaim your joy, and satisfy your hungry, aching heart. Each of us has a story. We can listen to each other's stories and compare them to our own and consider ourselves better or worse off than someone else, but that's not always helpful. Every person, every relationship, every marriage, and every divorce is unique. Each of us grieves in our own way. We can't heal or soften our grief by comparing ourselves or our situation to others. However, we can find consolation in knowing that others who've experienced divorce have survived and eventually even thrived. There is life and hope and a new day after the dark night of divorce. I'm not speaking to you as a therapist or a professional counselor. I write and speak and coach from my experience as a Catholic woman divorced after 44 years of marriage to my childhood sweetheart. Now, my story is no more important or remarkable than yours, but it's how I can share some of the lessons I've learned along the way. Divorce wasn't part of my paradigm. Both my former husband, and I'm going to call him Glenn, and I are cradle Catholics. We met at religious education class when we were 14, started dating at 15, and married when we were 20. We were blessed to adopt our wonderful daughter and son by the time we were 30. We actively practiced our faith throughout our marriage, but practice doesn't always make perfect. Glenn and I were surrounded by long-term Catholic marriages. My parents were married nearly 65 years before my dad died. My grandparents celebrated 66 years together, and my husband's parents were married for 63 years. Though each couple occasionally bickered, their mutual love was obvious to everybody around them. And after 44 years, I had little reason to suspect my own marriage wouldn't follow that same path. But one morning at work, out of the blue, I received a phone call from a woman who claimed to be having an affair with my husband. To grab my attention, she poured out intimate details about my husband and our children. She described the inside of my house and even criticized my furniture. She offered to send me pictures and videos of Glenn and her together, some at her house and some at mine. When I asked why she'd called me, she said she was mad at him because he was messing around with her best friend. During our conversation, she offered to get him on a 3-way call, and I thought, what have I got to lose at this point? So I hit the mute button. The voice on the other end was definitely my husband's. I listened as she accused him of cheating with her best friend and others. He didn't deny it. I quietly hung up the phone. My office door had remained open this whole time, and life outside that door went on without skipping a beat. Yet in that 15-minute phone call, my entire universe fell apart. That night after dinner, I confronted Glenn, and he admitted they'd been involved. And yes, he'd brought her to our house, but only to show it to her. He stared straight ahead while he spoke, and he didn't apologize. I waited for some sign of remorse, but he remained distant and emotionless. And I remember thinking, who are you, and when did you get a lobotomy? I'd expected at least some explanation, some attempt to seek my forgiveness, but none came. I couldn't put the pieces of my marriage back together alone. Have you felt that way? I've suffered the same deep grief, anger, and confusion you've probably experienced. And I want to share with you some of the lessons that have helped me along the way. Some of those are profound and others are down to earth. I don't always walk this journey with enthusiasm or grace, but I'm gradually progressing toward a better, more whole version of myself. And through it all, I've learned that regardless of how angry, hurt, lonely, hopeless, or betrayed I feel, I can't travel this road alone. This is what I believe God has taught me, and it's the message I want to share with you. You who are rejected, broken, unwanted, you are mine. I love you. You are beloved. Even if you're the one who caused the hurt in your marriage, you are still beloved. There's nothing you can do that's so bad it makes God not love you. You're precious to God. He knows every tear you shed, every longing of your heart. God loves you as if you're the only one. You are beloved by God Himself. That's your true identity. How do I know this? Over a 10-year period during our marriage, I wrote a series of scripture-based essays about the beauty and sacredness of married love. I'd compiled these into a book approved by my local bishop and was ready to publish it when the sudden derailment of my own marriage caused me to question everything I'd written. After my divorce, I set aside my writing, and I thought I no longer had any credibility on the subject of marriage or related topics. But the message remains the same, even if the messenger is broken. Truth remains truth. When I wrote that book, I learned that married love is a reflection of the perfect love God has for each one of us. We're each uniquely beloved by God. To God, each one is the only one. That's the message I wanted to convey. After my divorce, I grieved the loss of my book nearly as much as I did the breakup of my marriage. I'd spent years reading and writing about married love as a way to connect with God. Had that all been in vain? Where was God now? Had my relationship with Him changed? What did it look like now that my marriage had crumbled? I went back to the Bible, and this time I read through the lens of one betrayed by my earthly spouse. I found clear evidence that those of us who've experienced divorce haven't lost our relationship with God. In fact, God seems to speak comfort directly to us. I learned that God loves me unconditionally and without measure. And not only does God love me that way, He has that same love for every person He's ever created, without exception. God, who is love, can't not love. That truth remains at the core of my relationship with God and my understanding of who I am in God's sight. Over the years, I've been tempted to doubt God's love, to go back to thinking I must earn it, that I've got to try harder, that I'm not worthy. The truth is, we can't earn God's love. None of us is good enough. None of us is worthy. No matter how hard we try, God loves us not despite the fact that we're human, but because of it. I want to share that same truth with you. Nothing can change the fact that God loves you no matter what, more than you can ever know. Yes, the pain of losing the love of your spouse is agonizing and intense. The wounds are deep and lasting. Heartbreak is aptly named. It would be nice if peeling away your spouse would reveal this shiny new layer of God's unconditional love to comfort and console you. I wish it were that easy. The process of healing after divorce is more like the formation of thin, fragile scabs and tender pink scar tissue that can easily be torn and disrupted. You know, we tend to identify ourselves in multiple roles as wife or husband, daughter or son, mother or father, employee, business owner, caregiver, volunteer. But what we do doesn't define who we are. All those roles, as good as they are finite and temporary, changeable by choice or circumstances beyond our control. We're also likely to define ourselves by how we think other people see us and to measure our worth compared to those around us. Am I thin enough? Am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Do I make enough money? Do my wrinkles make me look old? Add a spouse's rejection to those ingredients, and you have the perfect recipe for a self-esteem of zero, a true identity crisis. The real you, the person God sees and loves without conditions or expectations, is someone you need to discover. Although your divorce strips you of a major portion of your identity, it leaves room to discover or rediscover who you really are. Who are you at the essential, unchangeable core of yourself? This is a truth we must each discover. Most of us have spent a lifetime wrapping layer upon layer to shape and reshape ourselves to fit various molds at different stages of life. The adult we become seldom resembles the child who began that journey. The bare, raw condition in which you find yourself after divorce can be an opportunity to peer beneath those layers and allow some aspects of that child to emerge, free from the expectations and constraints imposed by your marriage. Think of it as a gift in ugly packaging. That's why it's helpful to have a coach to walk with you so you can discover how to heal from your divorce and move forward with your life. A coach can help you gain clarity about your current situation and the obstacles that stand in the way of your recovery. A coach can help you find those next steps to free yourself from grief, discover who you really are, and reclaim your joy, regardless of how long it's been since your divorce. So to wrap up, I'm going to give you 3 actions you can take to help feed your hungry heart. Number 1, recognize how unique you are. In all the billions of people who've ever lived, there has never been and will never be another you. You are not a mistake or an accident, regardless of the circumstances of your conception or birth. Your life has a purpose no one else can fulfill. Even if you don't see any meaning in your life, you may be the ancestor of someone who will change the course of history. You're here for a reason. Number 2, seek beauty in everything. You may not have received a fancy Valentine card, a dozen red roses, or a box of candy, but the one who sees your heart and loves you unconditionally paints the sky every day just for you and wants to delight you with an ever-changing masterpiece. Remember that the next time you see a beautiful sunrise or sunset. And finally, number 3, take charge of your thoughts. I know how easy it is to play negative scripts in your head over and over again, to play the blame game. For a long time, I allowed myself to get caught up in imaginary conversations that always sent me into a downward spiral. Was it me? Why didn't you love me? What's wrong with me? I couldn't seem to break that cycle, and the constant mental battle was exhausting. One morning, when that mental monologue kicked in, I noticed the sound of birds singing outside my window. They'd probably been there all along, but I'd been so wrapped up in my imaginary conversations, I'd failed to hear God's beautiful music. What are you missing when you allow negative thought patterns to hijack your mind? You can replace unhealthy and damaging thoughts with conscious thanks. Even if you don't feel grateful for anything, start by giving thanks for 3 basic things each day that make your life easier or more comfortable. Easy things like electricity, running water, a microwave. Make note of those things on your calendar or in a notebook, and expand your list as you notice more things you appreciate. The more you look for the good in your life, the less you'll focus on the negative. Those 3 actions, recognizing that your life has purpose and meaning, seeking beauty in the world around you, and consciously taking charge of your thoughts, can make a huge difference in your life beginning today. If you found this message helpful, I have a gift for you. On the dashboard, you'll find a link to download a chapter from my book, You Are Still Beloved. And I invite you to keep listening to World Love Week as we help you feed your hungry heart.
Wow. All I can say is wow. What you just saw was magnificence, you guys. I want you to watch for this woman. I want you to follow this woman because she is a force of nature and she can change the world of so many. I am blown away. I've not seen you speak before or watched you or in action like this. I know you in a different way. And I got to tell you, you are such a superstar. So I just want you all to know that the way Mary Jo presents herself is love in action. And I want whatever comments you have that you're making in the Facebook group right now, make as many of them as you can. Share this with as many people as you can. We all have stories. We all have our stories of betrayal, of loss, so much. Mm-hmm. And I think the big word there is betrayal. We trust, and sometimes that trust is misplaced. And to me, the big lesson, and I see this with so many, is that if we let that betrayal continue for us, in other words, if we don't go past that and recognize this was a singular experience, that it is not, your life is not
Yeah.
completely betrayed. It is this instance
Mm-hmm.
and someone else, not you, then you can move forward.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's, and it's not always easy, but how many people do we see that are afraid to enter into love again because, oh God, it could happen again. Well, if that's your energy, guess what? It will.
It will, exactly, because you have to be open to loving and to receiving love. And you can't allow yourself to be defined by an experience like divorce, like betrayal, like the loss of a relationship, because you live there.
Yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure.
I know people, and it's funny, I heard a TED talk not long ago. If you feed your brain those negative thoughts and you concentrate on that all the time, you get endorphins from it. It becomes addictive, and it happens very, very quickly. And that's why you'll meet people years and years later after they've lost a relationship, whether it's death or divorce or whatever, and you can hardly break those people out of that pattern.
Yeah, it is. And the victim side of it is,
Yeah.
it's disempowering. It's a significance piece. It's mine. I was a victim. Okay, time out. Time out. But accepting accountability for it, to say, how is it that I created this? What is it about me that created this situation? That's where you start to get your power back. And it
took me a couple years before I would even go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the anger is I will tell you that there's still things from many years ago that I don't want to use the words hold on to, but I guess it's true because I still remember it, and I've so we do need to move past, just for ourselves, because the other party, and I don't know the other side of your situation, certainly, but those other folks, they've long forgotten you. They moved on. They're doing their own thing. They're just in their own space. So why are we still dragging that? There was an old Zen thing, and I've got to watch our time here. And I'm going to say this song, I'm going to repeat this story in probably the least eloquent way possible. But there was a Zen master that I needed help being carried across a stream or something. And, this person helped him across the stream. And then as they walk continuing, the guy said, "You was something, 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 something," and said, "I don't know why you're still carrying me. You stopped carrying me when we got to dry land. Why are you still carrying me in your brain?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying it wrong, certainly, but that's the whole idea. So why are we holding on to all the negative stuff when these people, we're punishing ourselves for something that's not even your own fault? And that's the tragedy of it for so many of us. And we need to release that in whatever way. You've got great ways to do it. And being in gratitude is a fantastic way to manifest that, recognizing that every day is a blessing. There are people around that absolutely love you. And you, Mary Jo, in the groups that you're involved in, and you're in one of mine, is you're surrounded by love, and we adore you. Pam Heath says, another thing is drinking poison, hoping that the person drops. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because that forgiveness thing's a whole different, that's another chapter in my book. But
I need to read that chapter.
Because you allow that person to hold power over you.
Yeah, exactly.
You think you're controlling them by not forgiving, but if we don't forgive, that person still has control.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Mary Jo, I adore you. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Pam Heath says, I want to be Mary Jo when I grow up. And I can totally see why.
Thank you, Pam.
We are blessed to have you with us. Thank you again so much for being here, and for being so accommodating to our schedules. And ladies and gentlemen, the incredible and rock star Mary Jo Grimling. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Krell here. We are in for another treat. I'm excited about this. We're coming for live from an ice storm in Tennessee. Is the incredible Abigail Tiefenthaler, and she is in the lobby of this building where she has internet connection right now. So we are talking about like in the trenches right now, full love on for you today. She is known, by the way, as the launch and leverage strategist and is the co-founder of LMS, which is a marketing service agency that works with professional coaches who are ready to make 6 and 7 figures consistently. I like that. And we're talking about money figures, not physical figures, FYI.
Correct.
Right. At 4 o'clock in the morning, that's the most fun I can probably come up with at the moment. She honed her strategic branding and marketing skills on Fortune 100 clients and saw that happier clients happen when team members worked on their specific expertise, which is always fun to do. Today, Abigail and her partner, Tammy Cray, did I pronounce that right? Is it Cray or Crea?
Mm-hmm.
Did it
Crea.
right? Yay. Okay. Bring the best of brand strategy and marketing implementation so their clients can go from practitioner to business owner. And I am thrilled to have her here, given the dynamics of ice storm in Tennessee. Sounds really romantic to me. So welcome, Abigail.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Yeah, this has been interesting because I'm actually visiting my husband, who's got a 13-week travel nursing assignment. And so we have this cute little apartment who just been struggling with the internet since he arrived. So I got the landlord to finally give me some space, and this was the best he could do. He said, nobody's working today, so go ahead. But as my husband was coming home from the hospital this morning, he said there was ice everywhere because I was going to go to a coffee shop. So I guess it's nice that I don't have to get out.
You know, yes, that's absolutely for sure. And I got to
Yeah.
tell you, you're bringing back to memories from a few years ago. My mother and I would travel when we could travel. We did a couple months, and we did a month in Israel and a month in Portugal. I remember having to do a webinar when I was in Israel, and my mom's like, well, you know, this is Israel. We're gonna have great internet here. And we were at relatives in a town called Nahariya. I'm like, oh, it'll be awesome. Well, it was like 2 gigabits up and 2 gigabits down. It was pathetically bad. And I was like,
Yes.
I'm doing a webinar, it's my business. So I had to run to an online coffee shop, and the internet wasn't much better. And on top of that, it was really noisy because it was the online coffee shop.
Right,
So,
exactly.
so
It's, the laptop lifestyle is sometimes not all it's cracked up to be. But for most of us who are entrepreneurs, home-based business owners, I've been doing it for 24 years. So it's an opportunity to really say, you know what, sometimes perfection is not worth the effort because sometimes you have to do. So,
yeah.
as a marketing person, I often tell people it's imperfect actions beats perfect in action every day of the week.
Amen. Well, it's funny because we're shipped. And by the way, you guys, we're literally meeting each other right now. So,
right.
So this is kind of, we're doing a getting to know you, which is kind of cool. I have a lot of my students where they want the perfection, and I'm like, it's not perfect, but it is, and that's really the watchword. It's get the message out. If they don't know who you are, it doesn't matter. You can't do version 2.0 until 1.0 has been out there.
Well, and it's interesting because we say to our clients, because we work with them, we provide a lot of done for you services. We provide some done with you services as a part of Launches Made Simple. And the thing we will tell them is their first webinar, their first download, whatever their first is, and their 5th, 7th, 12th, 25th are going to bear nothing to, in terms of resemblance other than, oh, that was coined by me or penned by me. So it is a matter of getting out there. And what I want to talk about today a little bit is the idea that when we embrace the concept of being a business owner, we're getting out on our own. Now, all of a sudden, we want to start doing, right? Because we are told imperfect action is the way to go. And I agree, but I'm going to share with you 3 shortcuts that will kind of almost seem counterintuitive, but will actually make that action less imperfect. Still imperfect, but less imperfect.
I love it.
So you want me to get started? Am I ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Honey, I was born ready.
Okay. Me too. That's what my mom and dad always said. So, I grew up in an advertising household. I was really, really lucky. My dad was a madman. Actually, 1960s, BBD&O, just like Bewitched and just like the AMC series Madman. My mom was also an entrepreneur, a home-based entrepreneur in the early 60s. And she wasn't involved in direct sales. She actually ran a fulfillment business. So there was a lot of shop talk going on at the dinner table. And, I grew up in this industry. I have a degree in marketing. I have a master's in strategic management with an emphasis in strategic marketing. And so that's why I'm a leverage and launch strategist, is because strategy to me is everything. The benefit of teaming up with a partner like Tammy is that we get to implement as well. So we provide end-to-end campaign services. But here's the first shortcut that I can tell you, is that a little strategy goes a long way. And what do I mean by that? We forget that strategy comes in a lot of different sizes and shapes. I'm not saying you have to go create that 57-page SCORE business plan and fill out all of those things, but you do need to have a plan of action. You do need to have a business strategy that you can create a goal from, a vision from, and kind of make a connection to it on a personal, visceral, soulful, heartful, and headful manner, right? You've got to know where you want to go. And that's a part of your business strategy. Where do you want to go? How much do you want to make? How do you want to spend your day working? What are the key elements of your non-negotiables? And what do you see happening, right? What type of change do you want to impact in this world on a one-to-one basis, on a group basis, on a hundreds of thousands, major impact? From that business strategy, you're going to go into a brand strategy. And that's my sweet spot. It is where, there's a lot of branding experts out there, and they're all, most of them are good, right? Let's assume they're all good. I'm going to do that abundance, no scarcity. They're all good. I really focus on strategy as it relates to the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And we come to it at a pretty intensive level. I don't think you can come up with a brand in an hour. I don't think you can come up with a brand in a week. I think your brand is your soul of your business. So it's always evolving. And if you don't do the strategic work to identify the who, what, where, when, why elements of your business, when you get to marketing, which is really the execution and the tactics, you're going to struggle. You're going to create paths to nowhere. You're going to have bright, shiny object syndrome. You're going to, stop 4 feet from gold. So before the tactic is the strategy.
Yeah.
And it is probably, because it's a hard deliverable, it's probably one of the hardest things to do. It's also something that needs to be done every 90 days. You want to look strategically, are you on course? Does your brand strategy match your business strategy? Does your business strategy, is the execution working in alignment with those, right? So your brand strategy addresses who I am, what I do, and why I do it. That's the you part of the business. And it's really important to be connected to that, because your business strategy is requiring you to go out to goal. And you're going to have challenges getting to that goal as times throughout the journey. If you're not connected, you're in trouble. Then you want to know who you're doing it for, why they need it, and why they're willing to pay for it. You're an entrepreneurial coach, you're a service-based business owner, you're in business to make money. So you've got to know why they're willing to pay for it now. Why is this problem so pressing in their life that they're willing to identify a solution, contract with somebody to make that solution happen? That's strategy. From that, you get your message. From that, you get your position. And from that, you now can create a marketing plan. So just as like point number one, I'm going to tell you a little strategy goes a long way. I like to recommend 90 minutes every quarter, just to go and take a look. Is what I'm doing in alignment? Become the chiropractor of your business. right? You've got to take a look at where your gaps are, because if you don't ever do that, then all you're doing is stuff. So the second point, and the
Wait,
second shortcut.
hang on.
Oh,
Before you do
sorry.
it, I want to jump in for a second, if you don't mind. What you just heard was gold. Be the chiropractor of your business every quarter for 90 minutes. You should be writing that down right now. That is gigantic, because it's true. You know, what you just said, Abigail, for that whole session is critical. If you don't know your why, if you don't know what this is all about, then you're gonna jump all over the place. So she's 100% right, and I want to just drive that home, because it is really, really critical. It's like you're preaching to the choir. And
Yeah,
that's
well, and
important.
here's the thing is, it's not just not knowing where you're going, but you also have to understand the reason you're going there. So that's why I'm saying you've got to be connected. That's why I'm saying your brand is the soul of your business. You have to be connected to it, because you will struggle. I don't care if you're working with the greatest coach in the world, the greatest program in the world, the best Facebook ad experts or content creators or whatever. If you don't feel it, it's not going to happen. I was just talking to a client earlier today, and I said, and people can't tell you that. You could have the greatest clothing designer come into your house and dress you. But if you don't feel comfortable in what you're wearing, you're not going to leave the house.
That's true. That is so true. Have you ever
Right?
gone? Yeah, it's a great metaphor.
So I want you to feel this. And, when you're storytelling, your story is only as relevant to your customer as the needs are that they have. So there's a lot of things that we discuss and we go through. We do a really deep dive in the area of brand strategy, because you can tell I love it, And at that point, then we turn our clients over to Tammy, and I call Tammy and the team, because we do have content creators, and we do have technology people, and we do have Facebook ads experts and other organic social media experts that are a part of our team. Because the next thing that happens, and here's the shortcut, you got to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're out there again, bright, shiny object syndrome. You're out there, paths to nowhere. So with everything that you do around marketing, the goal is to stop the madness, to simplify the process, to automate where it makes sense. Call to actions can be automated. What are you giving? Free download. How are you nurturing your market? And I will tell you that, I know there's various numbers out there, but 20 touches. Like when I started in my career in 1982, people would say after 3 times you're hounding. After 3 times, they don't even know who you are in today's world, right? I called on Hershey Foods for 4 years before I got business. I called on Wyeth, which is a pharmaceutical company, for a year. Every single Wednesday, I called on them before I got business. Persistence, tenacity, a little bit of gumption, they go a long way. But you have to know where you're taking them, and you have to know what the goal is. So what that plan is an opportunity for you not to be sitting in front of your computer on Monday morning going, okay, what am I going to say today? That helps you with your content. Your plan helps you see how you're moving people along. We had a client come in after the 38th email. 38. We have about 80 in our bucket of emails.
Wow.
And I'm going to give you a tip. After you get to 50, 40, 50, you can often send the same email, but with a different headline.
You're right.
People aren't going to, they're not going to remember it. So there's a tip for you. You repurpose content wherever possible. You want to show up consistent. If we go back to that dressing metaphor, you want, the top that you're wearing and the bottom that you're wearing to look like they're a part of an outfit, right? Then if you want to get fancy, you want the accessories and all the other accoutrements of fine dressing. But at the minimum, you want your top and your bottoms to at least coordinate. The plan is what helps you do that. And again, I recommend, take that 90 minutes once a quarter, and where have you put things in place that are not working? Where are you putting things in place where you're struggling? The goal of having that plan is you'll start to see gaps. That's really the goal of the plan, is to help you see gaps. Because if you can see gaps, now you have a choice of filling them or not. Can you do them on your own? Can you learn them? Should you outsource them? I'm a fan of outsourcing, not just because we're an agency, but because I don't want to spend time in things that don't bring me joy, that don't make me happy. I will tell you that I love strategy. I can spend all day long with talking strategy. When it gets to implementation, I know enough to be dangerous. And the reason why I do is because I don't have to worry about it. I get to give it to Tammy. I get to send her something and go, oh, this is really cool. Is this good for us? And she'll go, yes or no. I'll look at it or I won't. But she geeks out on that. I geek out on strategy. So the second tip, get a plan. As roughed out as it can be, you will find that once you start the discipline of creating one, once you start, you'll get more and more intricate. It doesn't have to be crazy. Start with one platform, 2 at the most. Don't feel like you have to touch everything. That overall strategy is going to help you decide how you're bringing leads into your community. The plan is going to figure out also how you're nurturing them as well. Because here's the thing, we need to be marketing 24/7. I hate to tell you that, but it's true. It's like bathing. You got to do it every day, or at least 3 times a week or 4 times a week, whatever your schedule and preference is. Once you stop bathing, there's consequences. Well, once you stop marketing, there's consequences too. So my goal is, to simplify the process. That's one of the reasons why we are huge fans of automated funnels, and we use them for one specific purpose. We are a huge fan of one offer. The Ascension model to me is a crazy model filled with time and effort and content. One program that you can upsell against and downsell against. And we've been doing that for years. So
I love you. That is, it's so renegade, but I believe the same thing. I mean, I can go both ways, but yeah, it's great.
This is it. We overcomplicate what we need to do. And we can't, I often say, I pardon my French, but an ass can only ride one saddle at a time.
That's true.
And I think that might be from Sweet Home Alabama, if I remember correctly, the movie. But, you can have 6 horses in a stable, right? There's nothing wrong that you could have 6 offers. You could have 6 avatars. You can have 6 marketing messages. Not that I recommend that necessarily, but you can only take one out at a time.
Yeah, it's true. I'll give you a little example, and I don't want to take up too much of your time on this because you're on a roll, but I just bought myself a new toothbrush, a new Sonicare, right? And I spent, I don't know, easily an hour figuring out which model of Sonicare I want. Okay. But the bottom line is I'm only using one speed, only one. It's done. What the hell do I need all this crazy shit for? Right. I mean, right. So it's exactly to your point. Focus on that one thing and be the best at it, and people will want it all day long. So thank you for saying that. That is music to my ears. And at 4:20 in the morning, it means a lot.
It's good music. Well, good. I'm glad. I mean, I remember somebody saying from the stage, if you're going to be a plastic surgeon, be the best nose plastic surgeon or hand plastic surgeon or breast reconstruction plastic surgeon. You want to be known as, whether you only want to work with 10 clients a year and charge them $25,000, or you want to work with, more and charge them $3,000, $5,000. Be the best. And this is the thing, expertise, while it's really important because it adds to your pedigree and your credentials, it only takes you so far. You've got to have a little bit of a ham, want to be on stage, want to be willing to put yourself out there. And I know, especially, I don't know how old you are, Ken, but I turned 61 on Saturday. My generation was really, at least I was, be seen and not heard.
Yes. And by the way, I can call you young lady and get away with it then.
Yeah, yes, you can. I will not take offense.
No,
It's
because I am older. And happy birthday.
yeah, it's so interesting that we just weren't raised under the lights, the camera lights. I mean, I even did a little bit of modeling as a kid, and you did it, you went home. It wasn't model was your entire career. We weren't raised with the O-rings and the backdrops, as you can see. I mean, just we were raised to go do our work and do it almost quietly because it was the impact that mattered. So to get now into this culture of being online, whether it's words or face or, lives, whatever it is you're doing, you want to make it as valuable as possible and as strategic as possible. So the plan will help you do that. Little strategy goes a long way, and some simple planning goes a long way too. So that's my thing. First two. The third, I'm going to say about really kind of a shortcut that people often forget is that all of marketing is research, plain and simple. So if you are not measuring your results, how do you know what's working and what isn't? If you assume and take a deep breath and go, okay, all of marketing is research. I get that. I am either going to succeed or I'm going to learn. But in order to succeed, I need to know what my goal was, going back to the strategy. And in order to learn, I need to know what the plan was so I can figure out what wasn't working. It could be as simple as there's a link in your funnel that isn't working. It could be as complex as your entire message is off. It's not bringing in the right people. Most business owners will say they have a client problem, right? A client I need more clients. 9 times out of 10, it's the offer, it's the message, it's the positioning, it's the marketing. It's all of those things that leading up to having somebody pick up the phone or schedule an appointment and say, I want to consider working with you. Tell me more. So if you're not measuring your results, some people call them KPIs, key performance indices, or some people call them ROIs, return on investment. Everything you do in marketing requires time, effort, and money. Whether it's money expended to participate in something, or whether it's money lost because now you're giving time and effort. You have to understand time, effort, and money. So the reason why I'm such a fan of outsourcing is for that reason, that I know the effort it will take to learn something relative to implementation is not worth my time. And you've got to be able to step boldly and courageously into the confidence that comes with, I am good at what I do. I've got an offer that will impact and create results and transform. So now I just got to work with more clients. But the missing element of getting those KPIs or ROIs or whatever you want to, however you want to label it, is what am I doing in between? That's what's going to help you figure out how to simplify and be more effective with the amount of time, energy, and money you're expending.
You are 100% right. I got to tell you, I've been taking notes. I don't usually take a lot of notes, but I'm taking a lot. I hope you guys out there are taking notes on this, because you need to be implementing what Abigail's talking about. This is gold, you guys. This is totally gold.
35 years, Ken.
Right.
I've been doing it for 35. Tammy's been doing it for 35. We love what we do. We really do. And, I always get so frustrated when we're talking to a prospect and they say, I've already invested thousands of dollars figuring out my brand. Well, then why aren't you in action?
Right.
Well, because my coach tells me I need to do this. I had this whole long conversation with somebody recently, and she goes, well, I've been doing it for 3 years. I've been following my coach's advice for 3 years. And I said, and how's it working for you? Because you're on the phone with me looking for something.
Right.
So I'm a little bit like a chicken. I don't get subtleties well. I'm pretty transparent. So I'll tell you, like, go and do this if this is what you really want to do, because you're going to play full out if you want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a client who came into my Safari program, and she's like, I want to do an event. And I said, okay, great. She said, how much time should I have for a runway? I said, figure 6 weeks or so, 8 weeks max out to get it right. So she did it in about 2.5 weeks. And it was basically her way of giving me the finger and saying, I'm not waiting, I'm going to do it. And worst landing page ever. I mean, just horrible landing page. The design, not anything what I teach. But son of a gun, she had 8 people show up. She made $18,000. I mean, right. She implemented it, and I can't swear that it's not perfect, but it is. So you're 100% right. Go ahead and get yourself in place, rock on, and call it done. And there you go. It's fantastic. So,
well, and here's the thing. Hopefully what your client found was that, I wonder what would have happened with a little bit of planning. I wonder what would have happened had maybe, is everything integrated and aligned? Maybe if I had started earlier and gone out later, given that lead time Ken recommended, I might have had 28 people show up.
Sure.
Now imagine the possibilities.
Absolutely. But I tell you, but the point is, she did it. And what you're experiencing with some of your folks was 3 years with this coach, and where's the results? Not there. Why are you still doing the same thing?
Yeah, well, in this case, I mean, the thousands of dollars this poor woman has spent on marketing, I felt so bad. And she bought some good programs, and she was working with some good coaches. I know the industry pretty well, and part of it was, you get something in your mind, and you're like, I can't do this. I can't call myself a coach. There's a coach out there who says, I hate the word coach.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody else who will, say, well, you shouldn't, you shouldn't tell people what you do, because that's a part of your process, not who you are. And I'm like, you know what, though, this is it. For somebody else, it might have worked fine. But for her, she kept on going back fighting. She was always in a resistance mode that wasn't enabling her to really show up like, this is me. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I can help you.
It's crazy time. We had literally about a minute and a half left before we run out of time. No, I'm loving this. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, I tell you, this is like, I'm so grateful. But I know you have a free gift to give everybody. I'm not sure if we have that dialed in. It's going to be on the dashboard. And so you'll be able to access that, everybody, because you want to learn more about what Abigail does. I want to make sure you do stay in touch with this incredible powerhouse, because I tell you, I'm thrilled. I mean, I've got 39 years, you got 36 together. You're looking at nearly a century of in the trenches, real life experience, you guys. It means something. It means something.
Yeah.
So,
and the fundamentals never change.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. So I've just put the finishing touches. I'm not sure if my VA has gotten this up yet. So it is 7 mistakes. It's www.launchesmadesimple.com. That's our website. But if you go /7 mistakes /, you should be able to download the 7 mistakes most often made. And there'll be some repetitive information in there because they're mistakes. They can be shortcuts, right? Repurposing conversation is what it's all about. But it's a robust, it's a robust piece. So take a look at it, and hopefully you'll.
And I'll have something. And I'll have something on the dashboard for you guys as well. We are totally out of time. I love you. This has been so much fun. And I want to have you back for more, because it's too short. So we got to talk more. You're
Thank you, Ken.
You're amazing. Abigail, thank you so much. Stay tuned. There's more World Love Week to come.
I stand for love. Do you?
Hey, this is Captain Lou, and I stand for love, baby. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Yes. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to World Love Week. Once again, thrilled to have you guys with us today. And this is, by the way, I can say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, because it is morning in Southern California where Bridget is. It is the middle of the night here in Australia, 3 a.m. But today, this morning, that is morning actually technically here as well, you're going to be treated to the excitement of Bridget Callahan. And I tell you, I'm thrilled to have her with us because when most speakers, executives, and entrepreneurs go to create a presentation, they really have no idea how to convey what they want to say in an engaging and compelling way. But after working with Bridget, her clients show up with PowerPoints that are easy for them to deliver. The audience ends up retaining the concepts and remembering the speaker as the true expert that they are. They don't have death by PowerPoint, in other words. Bridget's on a mission to end the tyranny of those boring PowerPoints or keynotes for that matter. And she's passionate about helping people and speakers create presentations that engage and inspire their audience and turns them into raving fans. Today, you're going to discover how to break through slide shame. I haven't heard of that before. Slide shame, good way to call it. How you can love your slides again and how your audience is going to love you for being nice to them and nice to their eyes. Just even look at the presentation she's delivering right now, just to your eyes as you see her elegantly in the screen with the right lighting, with the right backdrop. Ladies and gentlemen, Bridget Callahan, how you doing?
Good. Thank you. It's great to be here. A World Love Day or World Love Week.
It's just,
love it.
It's many World Love Days combined. Thrilled to have you with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to share some great before and after slides and really give people a chance to see what does a good slide look like. And learn to love your slides again.
Yay. That's a great slogan. Learn to love your slides again. I love that. I love that. Well, I'll let you run because I know you got some stuff prepared and I can't wait to see this because we're graphics people. We talked a bit before we went live. And so when Bridget was like, here's what we do, I'm like, oh, I got to hear this. I got to see this. And I love the before and afters. It's sort of like watching a train wreck and how it got rested. So I will let you take it away and I'll be here with you as needed.
Okay, great. Let me get set up here.
I did make you a co-host, I think, didn't I?
There we go. Okay,
Yeah.
so are you seeing my slides okay?
I love it. Yes, that's beautiful. It's great.
So we want to break through slide shame and we want to see how we can love our slides again. So what would it be like for you to love your slides again? If you've ever loved your slides, or maybe you haven't, what does that mean, right? And for some, how many people might have a presentation coming up so that tension is coming up that I need to get this going here. So in 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how you could up-level your presentation slides to match your expertise and to convey your message so your audience is thrilled they listened and glad they came. And we're going to look at how the brain works and retains information from a visual sense, and how your talk can convey 100 or 1,000 more words per slide than what you say alone. We always heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, I'm going to tell you why, okay? And your audience will appreciate your efforts and they'll want to work with you. Again, my name's Bridget Callahan and I'm your presentation experience strategist. I've worked many live events, taking changes from speaker slides just before they hit the stage and providing that calm effect for them so they can be their best. I've worked many large shows and small, and I've got to witness the results of these speakers and how their audience reacts. And unfortunately, I've seen many of them wondering if their time was well spent. I realize the impact the event can have on the audience, and I've seen all too often how speakers can make or break their experience based on their presentation and delivery. It amazes me how much money is invested in an event with travel, hotels, meals, venue rental, and yet they don't spend much mind share to the content and delivery of their message. To give you a little more background about me, I've worked with many Fortune 500 companies, including medical, pharmaceutical, banks, and auto. And I've had many stories of working backstage and witnessing performances that were both good and maybe not so good. And I know how important it is for the audience to have a great experience. I'm actually here today as an advocate for your audience. And I'm being their voice and letting you know what they need to see in order for them to consume and understand the information you're providing. And maybe even generate a higher conversion rate due to their increased connection with you. I'm all about, committed to abolishing the boring slide and create a win-win experience for you and your audience. In this short talk, I promise I'm going to convey to you how to keep it simple, how to avoid those pesky bullets, and how to tell a story. So let's get started. We want to keep it simple. And what I mean by that, like the underlying thing, is no white backgrounds. And I say that because our eyes, when we're looking at projected light, which is light coming from a monitor or a projector, it has us want to look at the light, right? So think of yourself in a movie theater and you've got your popcorn, you've seen all the trailers, the movie's about to start, and then the movie starts playing, the music wells up and it's like, oh, exciting, the movie's starting, but they didn't turn the lights down. And you're like, hey, turn the lights down, the movie started. It's like that. Putting a slide on a white background is like you're shining a flashlight in their light, in their eyes. And so give you an example, look at this slide and notice how it's kind of jarring. And then when you try to read the text, our brain is actually looking at, we're trying to conjugate the dark on the light. And when I show some future slides, you're going to see, like if I go back to this slide, notice how our eyes go to the light, the letters, it's easier to read. So when you look at this, we have to conjugate each shape and then each letter and then each word and then put them together. And then we form a word and then a sentence and then a paragraph. You're talking about a lot of brain power. And if you want to put your audience to sleep, put all your slides on a white background. They'll be dead in 10 minutes. They're just gonna, their brain will be dead. They just can't listen anymore. And so in the industry, we have a name for this. We call this the eye chart, when they put so much text on a slide and you can't even see it. Like the back of the room, it's just a bunch of little pixels. So why do we do that? So I'm going to show you some before and after slides. This first slide is the actual slide I found. They grabbed a graphic from probably the website or, you know, some browser, and they slapped it on a white background. And it's like, it doesn't really even make sense what they're doing. So I said, what would it look like if I redesigned this? So I like the graphic. I think it's nice and colorful and simple and clean. It's like, make that graphic big and fill the screen. And then I took the left side, fill it with a dark background, and then light text that matches the color of the background of the graphic. And it's a nice cohesive graphic. Notice how simple this is. So again, before, that bright flashlight in your eye, and after, it's compelling. It's got that wow factor. It's pleasing. It's engaging. This next slide is a client of mine. This was his sample funnel. And I'm like, that's not a sample funnel. Let me show you a sample funnel. You know, it's got a graphic interpretation of what a funnel is, and it points to the words. It's easy to read the words. They're big enough that you can read it. It's just more fun. Okay. And then this was another slide of his. He called it his hot seat. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, that's not a hot seat. This is a hot seat. And when I showed this to him, he just loved it. And to me, I look at that and that looks like a really comfy chair. I could sit in that and be cool. But then you're surrounded in this desolate background and the clouds look like it's going to rain. It's a little scary, but that's what a hot seat is. You know, it's comfortable, but it's a little bit unnerving. So this worked really well for him. And, you know, I say avoid bullets. And why do I want to avoid bullets? Because you want just some clean text. You don't want to have to keep listing things. We get bored of the listing things. So I'm going to show you how to avoid those bullets. And I say under no circumstances, don't use bullets, because we know bullets kill. We've heard death by PowerPoint. How can we avoid those pesky bullets? So here's an example of a slide I got from a client. And she listed her title and then her bullets. And to me, it's just slapped together. It's not laid out well, but I like the picture and what she's talking about, you know, how the body ages and stuff and how things can increase age quickly and how you can take care of yourself. It's like, wow, I just want that picture full frame. So I said, make it full frame. You could tell them your bullets. You don't have to list them. And, you know, you can have your title in the footer area. Here's another slide that was used to be a bulleted slide. It's basically just a nice graphic that conveys what you're going to learn today. And then here's a cool bullet. This is taking Post-it notes and turning them into bullets, or they were bullets, turning them into Post-it notes.
That's
And what I
very
loved
cool.
about
That's so cool. I'm sorry to jump in. That is so cool. I like that a lot.
it's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I actually did this for a guy who was a former executive of Microsoft. And it was hard for him because he was looking for the bullets.
Yeah. That's stunning.
But-
that is so stunning.
Yeah, and what's cool about this is you're going to be talking in detail about those bullets later in the slides. And again, we're going to show a nice picture that's really speaks 1,000 words. And we would take that Post-it note and put it in the corner of the picture so it related to that bullet.
Sure.
And you might have 2 or 3 slides that go with that bullet, or that Post-it note in the corner. And then here's the last one. I don't have the before slide, but imagine this slide was a white slide with 4 bullets in it. And this is what I turned it into. And she was talking about, how do you stay in faith? You can't be halfway. And this was an animation actually created in PowerPoint. It does it in PowerPoint, but I found that sometimes PowerPoint hiccups up, does a hiccup with the animation. So I actually created a video. So there's a video embedded into PowerPoint. Okay, so number 3 is we want to tell a story. And we heard all these things about when you're talking nowadays, you want to tell a story. And we like storytelling. And how do you tell stories about boring statistics? Well, if you watch the news nowadays, they create all kinds of story around COVID and hospitalizations and the different strains of virus. The stories are getting strung all the time. And when you listen to that, you might look back at what you're talking about and how can you create a story about it. So I love working with people. If they don't quite have a story, we can work together and formulate that story so it's more engaging, more compelling. And then we mirror it with pictures. So here is a slide I designed for a client. This was their title slide. So it invited them in. This was their walk-in slide if it was a live event, so they know what they're coming into. And you can see the pictures in the background. It's a combination of a couple of pictures, but it really talks about living well in the wireless world and how to beat that invisible stress with ease. They're talking about all those, invisible things that are like G5. I can't explain exactly what she was talking about, but anyway. Then here's another one. So she speaks to parents about problem children and how do you deal with that? And she just had text on the slide. Imagine just text on a slide. And then we threw this picture in there, made it a duotone, but look how it just has such more expression. And then this is one of her detail slides. Like you look at that picture and you could tell the stress she's in, and the child is just not phased at all. She's going to continue talking. I love it. And then here's another slide. Again, a picture is worth 1,000 words, the missing link. You can talk to this and tell a great story. And while they're looking at the picture, they're remembering what you're saying. So that picture embeds in our brain and it mirrors with the story that you're telling, and they're going to remember it years later. So here's an example of a client that I work with. He used to be a former marketing executive for Wendy's, and he worked when they coined the phrase, "Where's the beef?" So some of us older folks, we know that commercial.
Never heard of it.
Now speaks.
Never heard of it. Before
Really?
my time. It's before my time.
Oh, okay. Well, look it up. I think there's one video of it.
I'll call Clara Peller. I was devastated when she died.
Yeah, when he interviewed her, he says that she's the one. She's definitely the one.
Yeah.
Very, very much a character. But this slide, when I look at slide sorter view and I look at the slides, I see, wow, this is interesting. This is engaging. Not quite sure what they're talking about, but I want to listen. And that makes a great slide deck. If I know exactly what you're talking about when I look at slide sorter view, it's too much. You want to have slides that need you to speak to it. I tell speakers, if you want to put everything on the slide, then start your slides and walk off stage because they don't need you. They can just sit there and read through them. And they're like, what? So you want to give them something to look at, but you also want to speak to it. So this next image, we're talking about know your customer. This is all about marketing, and it's important to know your customer, what your demographic, psychographic, that kind of thing. And as he's talking about it, look how bright this image is. When we look at a photo, we look at a face. Is there a face? Okay, are there eyes? Are they looking at us? If they're not looking at us, where are they looking at? So we look for eyes. Are they looking at us? If they're not looking at us, what are they looking at? So we look at eyes, then we look at what they're looking at. She's looking at his hands. And then after the eyes, we look at hands. What are the hands doing? Because we can formulate so much what's going on in that microsecond of looking at those 3 points. And aside from that, look at the store. Look how neat it is. Look at all the products. Everything's well laid out. It's just, you can swim in this picture is what I say. And then this next one, offer your customers something they value. This tells exactly what it is. You can tell this lady values shopping, and she's got a great face. Her lipstick matches some of the packaging. It's just a great photo. And this is a found photo. These photos are found. They're out there in image banks that are low cost, and there's several image banks that are no cost. So it's just go out there and find some photos that speak to the stories that you're telling. This next one, effective communication is what is remembered and acted upon. This is a bulleted slide. That's the title I just showed you. So I'm going to click through the bullets. So you must entertain, you must engage, you must inform, and you must have a call to action. Now that doesn't look like a bulleted slide. It's fun. Again, where do our eyes go when we first look at this? It goes to the boy on the left because he's looking at us, right? And then we go to the right, we look at this other boy and he's looking back at the left, and then we see their hands and what they're doing and their expressions. There's just so much going on, and it just makes me smile when I see this photo. And then this last one I have, speak the language of the customer. Now this is a white background, and I'm okay with some white backgrounds. It kind of wakes you up and whatever. You just don't want to overburden them with too much white, okay? But look at her eyes, the bright brown eyes, her hair. We took the text and matched the color of her hair, and her teeth. She's got perfect teeth. I love this picture. So that gives you a sense of some of the things that you can do with slides. Very simply, these are very simple slides. Yeah, and yes, I'm a graphic designer, I've been doing this forever, and it's easy for me to do it, but I'm trying to teach people that you can do it too and have fun with it. Or you can hire someone like me to do it for you. So I'm going to recap. So first we talked about keeping it simple. Really, it's just keep it simple. Find a nice image, put a little text on there if you need it, and tell a story to it. And then number 2, as we said, avoid the bullets. How can we avoid those bullets? Get creative. 1 bullet per slide, maybe. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I know everyone says, well, I want to list everything out there. And it's like, okay, but then don't sit on it for 5 minutes, go through in detail and talk about them. And then the last one is tell a story. A picture's worth 1,000 words. If you find a picture and you're telling a story to it, or you have several pictures, like I'm clicking through these slides, I'm speaking for 20 minutes and I've already gone through 50 slides. So it's practice and timing and that kind of thing. But that's the strategy of really connecting the images. I call it, we're creating the wow factor, but I call it the Hollywood effect, because when we look at slides, when someone pulls out the projector and puts up slides, we're thinking, oh, movies, like Hollywood. And then we see the slides and we get all disappointed and glum. I was like, how can we make this better? So that's my 3 quick tips to show you how that works. So what would it be like to have that kind of transformation for your next talk? Think about it. If you could have fun with your presentation, engage them, and connect them better to who you are and what you're about, that would make a huge difference. So I hope you learned some valuable things today. Presentations will look different to you now, I promise you. People tell me they never look at slides the same again, and they'll see slides and they'll tell me, oh my God. I had 2 students that were interns with me for a summer, and they were in 11th grade. And after I taught them how to distinguish a good slide, all they could do is call me and tell me and complain about their teacher slides. And I mean, horrible stuff. So hopefully from this, you might be able to up-level your presentations. So imagine sitting in front of your computer and you're about to work on your slides, and you have a solution that can make it much easier. Well, designing impactful slides so that they can captivate and convert will help you to sell your products and services or ideas better. We want to love our slides, right? That's what it's all about.
That's awesome.
So what
That's
results will
That's
you
great.
produce beyond what's done before now, and that will have you show up as an expert? So what I want to share with you is my free gift on how to access, how to create great slides. I created this 60-minute series of videos on how you can create better slides. And it goes through colors, fonts, graphics, how to create a statistic. How do you create a statistic slide? Very important. And then statistics sell. You know, if you can pull statistics out, that has a big impact on people. This normally sells for $197, but I'm giving it to you free. So you just have to go to createslides.convert.com/love.
That's
And you're
awesome.
going to love your slides again.
And we'll have it on the dashboard too, you guys, as well. So it'll be on Bridget's page. So not to worry about that. You can either go to the URL or again, it's on the dashboard to make it easy for you. These are gorgeous, just stunning.
Thank you.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Oh no, I'm done. That's it. That's pretty much it. I
You
finished a little early.
did fine. You're great. It's funny. We talked before we started about how I have one person that was a purple fanatic and just destroyed the color purple because there's some really nasty colors and shades of purple. I guess it's nasty shades of everything, but I tell you, this is gorgeous. This slide is the color, the drama of the slide, the yellow that goes with it. Just stunning. I got to tell you, for me, waking up at 2:30 in the morning to do this presentation, and for what you did for my eyes are in such gratitude to you. I got to tell you. No, I'm serious. I mean, the quality of what you're saying, what you're demonstrating is so beautiful, and you put time and energy into it, and that does show that you love your audience, and that means a lot. Oh, damn, you took my slides away. They're gorgeous, and to have that experience. I hadn't thought about white slides the way you mentioned it. And, and I've been doing presentations for 39 years or more, maybe. Got to check the calendar again. Things change every year, damn it. But, and I've been a big offender in the past. I mean, a real big offender in the past. And even, as I have new presentations coming up next week, trust me, I'm going to be going back, and I've done a bunch of similar stuff to what you're doing, but you have it finessed so beautifully that it's like, I want what she's having. I've never seen the bullets done graphically the way you have it. That those Post-it note. Oh, that is so cool. That was so cool. And your kid with the call outs, for really creative, really creative. And even your animations, luckily enough, the way you did them here in Zoom came out looking fine. That can be dicey in a lot of cases.
You want to keep it tasteful and simple.
Yeah, sometimes people overdo it with technology because, I have some new stuff and there's too much glam and glitter running around. I really do. And you make a good point about you have 50 slides in 20 minutes. So what? They're not heavy slides. I mean, they may be big files because of the graphics, but so what? You made it so engaging, and I was like, what's next? So you really did create that. And I am a skeptical audience. I will tell you, I'm very, when I see people do slides, and I saw a couple of slides, I think I saw a couple of slides with Calibri. I hate that font. I want the person who designed that font. I want to take them, tar and feather, rip them apart. I mean, it's ugly. It's nasty. For God's sakes, please give me it's Calibri, by the way, is the default font that Microsoft puts in Word and PowerPoint and so on. And it just misses everything. It's just nothing to that. And if you like it, I'm sorry. And then you look at Apple, and their default font is Helvetica New, which just has a little bit of extra pizzazz than the regular Helvetica, which is a fantastic font. That's McDonald's font. So, seeing those distinctions, if someone puts Calibri, immediately I don't like them. I mean, I'm judgmental. It's like, no, they've given me something that is nasty. They haven't customized it. They've gone with the default, and it just has nothing.
Yeah.
And what you did, with some of the different fonts and the way you married them together is really classy. So, yeah, I'm raving. I'm just like, she's great. I love her. She's awesome. So I will say number one, I know I have the link because you gave it to us because we're producing this, but I wrote it down. Literally, I wrote it down like right here because I'm going to that link. So you guys, I recommend that you, if you haven't done it, either go to the dashboard or Creative Slides That Convert. I love that.com/love. And I'm going to go through that.
What's cool about that is you're going to get into my membership site, and it's going to be a paid site soon, but everyone who gets in now, it's free. You have access, and what you have access to is this free training. Plus you have access to my once a month look over my shoulder as I fix your slides office hour.
Oh, I love that. I tell you, I love that stuff. It's like you know when you're driving down the road and someone's in an accident, you're like, right?
Yes. That's all they show up as looky-loos. No one brings slides. No one has questions. They just want to look.
Yeah. It's like, it's like when I watch the news of the United States, it's like, I'm so glad I don't live there anymore. It's like, oh, you guys are really messed up. It's like it's watching the train wreck. Sorry, Americans, but I am one of you. And I'm anyway, it'll get better at some point. It'll get better. But yeah, when I see that, Entrepreneur Magazine used to have a guy that did, Jerry somebody or other, that used to do ad fix ups, the before and after, and it was great to see the before, and a great way to learn, by the way, a really great way to learn. So if you can get into those events that Bridget is doing, I would recommend it, because that's really where you learn, because you're in the actual real life strategy rather than just watching something in a book past tense type of scenario. I love the experience.
With the live office hours, we get to interact and people can ask questions. And I had one person go, it's too late for you to help me with your slides, but I'm speaking tomorrow, so I'm working on my slides now. How do I do this? And I showed her how to do it. And she sent me the greatest testimonial the next morning and $50 in Venmo.
I love it.
She says, my slides look so much better after 5:59 p.m. yesterday. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Doesn't that make you feel good? When you can have that definite impact on somebody. That's so cool.
Well, I've seen so many audiences take out, you go to these big events, sales meetings, they spend lots of money on it, and they spend a lot of money on the banners outside and the badges and all that stuff, but they don't put any mind share to the slides, the content on the slides. And it blows my mind, because what is our mind share on most of the day? Yeah. It's on those slides. And so I'm very passionate about, abolishing the boring slide, creating this win-win situation with the audience and the speaker. And, whether I do your slides for you or whether I teach you how to do them yourself, it doesn't matter. We're abolishing this boring slide and creating a new experience of how presentations can be conveyed.
You've done great. And we got to land the plane in about 15 seconds here. So
okay.
I know, and I'm really enjoying this. And I'd love watching. My eyes are grateful to you. So ladies and gentlemen, Bridget Callahan, check her out. Go ahead, grab her free gift. I got to tell you, massive value there. I'm going to grab it, and I've seen a lot of stuff. So I'm telling you, you got my attention, and that means a whole lot. Bridget, thanks so much for being with us today. I can't wait to do more with you and learn more about what you're doing and see more. And you may have just gotten yourself a client today from me as well.
Oh boy.
So
all right. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks so much.
I stand for love. Do you?
Hey, this is Captain Lou, and I stand for love, baby. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Yes. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you?